Hello, virtual race fans all around the globe. Dustin Moore broadcasting to you live here in the heart of Texas. Yeah, we got some snow falling here on the broadcast. I assure you, not happening here down in South Central Texas. Thank you very much for tuning in. Virtual Autosports here live on Twitch TV as we begin season number 31 of the Forza Spec Racing Series after a conclusion to what was an exciting and a very eventful season number 30 with none other, as you see there on the screen, Mesosphere taking the win with a cool 400 points. Came up 1 week shy, happened to be that final week, 1 week shy of a perfect 500 season. Granted, we dropped the lowest week of the 5, and that's what you end up with as your total score for the championship. So Mesosphere was good there with a perfect 400, but it was AMS Storm 1919 who showed up and robbed Mesosphere of the clean sweep. Not the queen sweep, the clean sweep. I had the golden broom and everything all ready to go, and AMS Storm, otherwise formerly known as Family Dude, shows up and made things a little bit interesting there that night, the finale there in season number 30. We've got season number 31 now to look forward to, and I'll keep the standings going here for a little bit, but we'll hop into the 1987 Ford Sierra Cosworth RS 500s here in this new season, which means a whole nother set of engine parameters or vehicle performance parameters, and we'll talk about those again here shortly, but then also a whole new slew of tracks. The one thing I do want to keep you all abreast of is that this season will be split thanks to the holidays that we have here toward the end of the year. That has us doing the first 3 weeks of season 31 here. Over the course of the next 3 Tuesdays, there will be a 2 or 3 week break before rolling back into things. So I'm going to say take a look at the schedule. I'll read off the schedule, and perhaps for the next broadcast I'll actually have a visual for you. That'll probably be helpful. But here we are on December 3rd. We'll be heading out to Sebring for 14 laps, Suzuka for 14 laps, and we'll obviously be giving you all the details on those specific tracks. I can tell you right here and now that we'll be running the full circuit on both occasions, both the race number 1 and race number 2. Then for race 3 and 4, on December 10th, so a week from tonight, out at Homestead Road Circuit, the road circuit and the alternate version of that road circuit. And there's going to be some drizzle, there will be some moderate rain, even some fog, 21 laps around that track, followed by the Bernese Alps Club Circuit, 22 laps around that track. Then it's December 17th, the last race of the year, or the last week of the year here for the Forza Spec Racing Series. Road Atlanta, the full track, 21 laps. The Indianapolis Brickyard Speedway, yes, heading out to the Oval in these RS 500s for 32 laps. Then fast forward to January, the 2020, January 7th, Maple Valley, the full circuit, 19 laps. Mesosphere had some issues there back a couple of seasons ago. We'll see if maybe he can make that a revenge showing. And then it's Sebring, the short circuit, at night for 23 laps. That's January 7th. And then our finale, 76 laps around the Silverstone National Circuit on January 14th. And like I said, I'll work on a visual for our next broadcast. That way you can all mark your calendars, so to speak, and get ready for those upcoming weeks. And then, of course, those couple of races or 3 races that we have there to wrap things up in 2020. Speaking of which, I hope you all are thinking about maybe what your New Year resolutions will be for 2020, what ideas you have in terms of things that you want to see happen in your life, whether that be in your professional front, your career, maybe you're still in school, you want to knock out a degree or two. Whatever it is, I hope you're looking forward to those. But most importantly, at least in terms of recency, I hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving. For those of you who celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday, I know our friends to the north in Canada, they had celebrated theirs a couple of weeks before the U.S. did theirs. And going through the Thanksgiving holiday myself, have a lot to be thankful. And one of those things, out of the many things that I have to be thankful for, is the opportunity to broadcast here the Forza Spec Racing Series. Slow Motion Fire, I tip my hat to you and the gang who are behind the scenes and all down the track, the virtual racetrack, providing the action so that I can come out here and do the thing that I love, which is on Tuesdays, broadcast, commentate, all that fun jazz. And so To be able to do that here for the remainder of this year and on into the next is a privilege and an honor. All right, so I told you we'll talk about the car before we get ready to roll into qualifying, which is coming up here very, very quickly. Let me go ahead and fly on over to the car. There it is. If I can get everything set up the way I'd like it. There you go. There's that RS500 that we told you about. A700 is the performance index class here in Forza Motorsport 7. Whether you've got it for the Xbox One or the PC, you can pick up this car, throw it into your garage, tune it up as required, and get out here on the track. If you cannot race tonight, that's quite all right. Join us for week number 2, where you'll still be in the running for the championship, because it is a 5-week race schedule with a drop week included, or a drop week to take your lowest points off the out of the 5 weeks. Whatever it is that you have for those final 4 weeks will count towards your championship season. So we know we had a couple of drivers who came in late last season, did really, really well. We'll talk about them here in a little bit. But get this 87 Ford Sierra Cosworth RS500 up to spec. It has still that YBD 224 motor, but it's been bumped up a couple of notches to 363 horsepower. The foot-pounds of torque goes from 206 stock to 299. 2367 in terms of pounds of weight in the car. 2,367. That's down from the 2,734 that it starts out with. The car maintains its 51% weight distribution, a little bit leaning toward the front. And rear-wheel drive configuration, no change there. You got the race intake, as well as the exhaust and the camshafts. Then it's street pistons and compression, the sport turbo, race brakes, race springs and dampers, race front and rear sway bar, race chassis reinforcement and roll cage, race weight reduction, even though that race weight reduction, again, only drops at about less than 100 pounds. And then you've got the race clutch, race differential, race tire compound with BBS E55s, 16-inch rims. They've got the, as far as the wheels go, again, those race tire compounds, they're 245s, 35s, and again, a 16-inch rim there, front and rear. Maintaining that rear-wheel drive configuration, it's still got that, again, that YBD motor, bumping up the horsepower a bit, keeping that turbo in there, however, going up to a sport turbo from the original street turbo. So, lots going on there. Flying Evo said, oh, God, it's coming. They just closed practice. Yes, Flying Evo is perhaps going to be in the lobby here. As I take a look at the lobby, we've almost got a full one, so that's pretty darn exciting. We'll go back over to the lobby shortly here, but let me go back to the Season 30 standings to talk about this. Again, Mesosphere with a clear winning season there in Season 30. It was undisputed after about halfway through. Even though he still had some drivers on his tail, the points were just continuing to rack up. Cratrium then with 366 in second, Funtang at 324 in third, Crimson, Slipstream, Audrex, Fear the Fun, Slow Motion Fire round out your top 8. Then you jump over to 9 through 16. You've got Celtic Warrior or Celtic Warrior at 168. One name to look out for, Joe Beardy. I'm telling you, look out for that name. He finished 12th there in Season 30, but will he be able to perform better? I already see him in the lobby, so chances are it's possible. Heck, I would even go with probable. Presto is Besto, AMS Storm, who we told you jumped in there for that finale to rob that final race from Mesosphere to pick up 100 points. That's what boosted him all the way up to 14th. Just one single race. Proud Beetle and Iceman Misfit round out that grouping. Then it's 17th through 24th, and we don't even have all the drivers on here as some folks fall off of this. But Myrtle, T-Phrase, Ronan, Skier Kid, PJ Dude, Gotta Go Fast, Blister Gypsy, and Combat Beast. And that's your standings, again, from Season 30. So not more than, 3-4 weeks ago that thing's wrapped up. And then it was a Be a Better Photographer stream that I did. And then 2 weeks that I went ahead and just took off. And here we are back on Tuesdays. And that's the regiment that you can expect here over the next month and a half. As, again, we'll have that split after December 17th, which will be our last race of 2020. We'll go to January 7th and January 14th to close things out here. All right, so I'm in the lobby. I'm going to go ahead and go into spectate mode. Let's give you all some audio so we can hear some things over here. We'll talk a little bit more about the track as we get around it. Again, it's the Sebring circuit that we're heading out to first, followed by Suzuka, and it'll be both the full circuits. Mesosphere saying, don't expect much from me, and my new meds are giving you a lot of side effects. So sorry to hear it there, Meza, and hopefully you'll get around the track just fine, and if not, maybe you kind of watch the action from the sidelines maybe, and just kind of enjoy seeing the racing play out before you. But so far in the lobby, we've got Crimson, Cratrium, LSEM Chaos Fox. Great to see LSEM crew represented in here. Fear the Fun, a popular, familiar name here in FM4. T-Phrase, there's Joe Beardy, the one I'm saying to look out for. And then wouldn't you know it, we've got another AMS representative of Huracan. Then it's Autobahn, Slow Motion Fire, Funtang, Mesosphere. There is AMS Storm, formerly known as Family Dude. X Lucas 04, Blister Gypsy, Celtic Warrior, Barf Monkey 22, and Iceman Misfit. That'll be 17 drivers out on the grid of the 23 spots that we have available to you. We'll talk also about a new feature coming to the races, something new that Slow Motion Fire and crew are working out here in season number 31, but we'll talk about that after we wrap up the qualifying session, which will include 3 laps around the Sebring circuit here. The top times will put you further up in the grid. If you're unable to post a clean lap, that'll put you back toward the end of the grid. The slowest clean lap is always faster than the fastest dirty lap. Yes, I know that may I see reconnection successful. I think we're back. Viewers, if you could confirm for me. Flying Evo saying, oh, never mind. So good. It looks like we've reconnected. I don't know what it is. My connection to the lobby, as you can tell, is uninterrupted. So no problems there. It's every once in a while with Twitch, a little hiccup that we got to work through, and we do. So here we go, out to the racetrack, Sebring, for 3 laps of qualifying. That means that first lap is going to be a standing start. And then the 2 subsequent laps will be a flying lap. What's up there? Ben McKenna with the Simpsons emote. Good to see you. I think that's a Simpsons emote. I'm not a big Simpsons fan, but looking at it, it makes me think that this is a Simpsons emote. Here comes Fear the Fun. He's going to be the first one off the line. And yes, all the drivers qualify at the exact same time, which is the beauty of virtual racing, is that we can put all the drivers, in this case, all 17 out there on the track. And even if they start to come close to making contact with each other, well, they'll ghost. They'll go into ghost mode. And that way they can continue on their way on the driving line or wherever they wish to race, pass right through somebody without any incident, and it does not disturb their qualifying time either. So that's how things are rolling here. And granted, this is a Sebring here, a lengthy track, so it'll take a little bit to get back around for that flying lap. How are you all doing? How's it going out there? What are you looking forward to in 2020? I know we're 27, 28 days out from 2020, but what are you looking forward to in the new year? I would also like to take this moment to mention, for those of you who don't already know, however, if you're a pretty active participant in the Forza community, I'm guessing you do already know, but for anybody else, Brian Eckberg, who's been with Turn 10 Studios for, I think, more than 10 years now up to this point, has announced that he'll be moving on away from Turn 10 here at the end of the week. And so what does that mean for community management? Our interactions with Turn 10 Studios, we'll have to see here, as inevitably somebody will let us know, whether that be John or anybody over there at the Turn 10 Studios team, to let us know who's going to be stepping up and stepping in. Storm begged me to come watch him. How many laps are you guys doing tonight, says Ben McKenna. So it'll be 21, or excuse me, check that, 14 out here at Sebring, and then followed by another 14 out at Suzuka, both the full circuits in these RS 500s. Again, A700 Performance Index here in Forza Motorsport 7, 363 horsepower, 299 cool foot-pounds of torque, just one shy of 300 there, 2,367 pounds of curb weight. Rear-wheel drive configuration. Before, these Sierra Cosworths were largely produced in all-wheel drive form starting in the 90s. This 87 model is in rear-wheel drive configuration. And again, we're keeping the YBD motor in there, which initially had 224 horsepower. Bumped that up to 363. The foot-pounds of torque goes from 206 to 299. And let me go ahead and flash over to our fastest driver out the track right now. It's going to be Huracan. They're in first place with the top time of a 2:14.9, and actually make that Storm now. Storm jumps up a notch, and Mesosphere, who says he's a little bit under the weather, well, maybe not necessarily under the weather. Meds perhaps playing a little bit of mind games with him. He's currently second in terms of quickest qualifying time, but AMS Storm, their family dude previously known as, at a 2:14.9. Yeah, these Ford Sierra Cosworth RS 500s, what a pedigree that this vehicle has in its lineage. It was a touring car champ on multiple occasions in different countries, both in British and down in Australia, touring car championships. It found its way into Group A rally racing, to include the World Rally Championship, and I think it picked up a championship there. So this car has got quite the pedigree behind it. And as the AMS Storm now gets around the track, coming through turn 11 of Collier up to 13 Tower, we're here at the historic, not only is the car historic, but out here at the historic Sebring International Raceway. What a great track it is. Very little to no undulation. Perhaps the only undulation that you're going to find is in turn 17 at Sunset Bend, where all that asphalt, the cracks in the asphalt, and because of the way that they're laid out, you get some edges of the asphalt that lift up, and therefore you've got some bumpiness through that portion of the track. AMS Storm in the chat there as he gets around the track. Huracan now reclaiming the top time with a 2:12. That's the trick with a track like Sebring, which is quite lengthy, is that it takes a little bit to get back around, and any little mistake that puts you off track can invalidate your time, and therefore leaving you with one last lap to set your best time, the third and final flying lap. There goes Huracan with the AMS very brand appropriate neon green and black livery on that car, number 99 there on the number board. And you'll notice there that Huracan has the orange board, which I'm going to take a look at it real quick. I do believe that indicates that an amateur to the Forza Spec Racing Series, however, no amateur to the Forza franchise, one iota. We got to take this for a grain of salt, but currently I'm showing that it's Huracan, Crimson, Storm, Mesosphere, Barf Monkey, T-Phrase, Bootang, Joe Beery, X Lucas, and Blister Gypsy, 1 through 10. Now, granted, again, I think we got to take that with a grain of salt, because I do believe that may be the Forza system counting the total time of the race versus quickest lap. So we'll see. We'll pull out those quick laps as we take a look at the results following this race. And then again, we'll talk about the changes that are coming here with the race format. Once we're done with this one here, as we see now coming toward the finish line, it's going to be Cratrium. And I don't think Craytrim has even done a third lap. I think this is Craytrim coming up to the line, and then he's just going to be done unless he wants to post a, well, he wasn't off to a quick start as he crossed the line, so I don't think Craytrim's going to be able to fly across the line, so to speak. But maybe he did post 3 laps. Ben McKenna telling Storm there in the chat that he's a try hard. It's good to see Storm out here on the track from the get-go in season number 31. Everybody has their points have been wiped clean. It's a fresh slate, zeros all around. But by the end of the night, we'll see how things are looking and how some of the drivers have fared in the RS 500. But perhaps, if maybe this week doesn't go so well, this will maybe be their drop week. And before we get the racing going here, we'll also turn to our driver spotlight section to see if anybody would like to have a word before the race gets going. So drivers, you know what to do. Go to that queue for interview section here in the FM4 Discord, and I'll pull you on in to the interview section so we can have a word with you. Craytrim there at a 2:19. There's Huracan with a 2:12.4. Then Fear the Fun with a 2:21. Fear the Fun probably wishing he had a quicker lap. Maybe that was his out lap. Was unable to post a clean lap on 2 and 3. Lucas with a 2:16.1. Chaos Fox with a 2:16.6. Joe Beardy, I told you, keep your eye on Joe Beardy. 2:16.1. Celtic Warrior 2:16.2. Futang down there at a 2:14.4. So that'll put Futang either on row 2 or 3, I believe. 2:12.9 for Krebs and 2:12.4 for Storm. 2:14.8 there for Iceman Misfit. 2:13.1 for Meza. Blister Gypsy at a 2:16. 2:13 for the old Barf Monkey 22. T-Phrase at a 2:14.2. Slow Motion Fire at a 2:15.8. And Autobahn unable to post a quick time there at a 2:25.4. Let's go ahead, and since we've got a couple of drivers in here, Mr. Big Time Tooth Guy, T-Phrase. Let's see, T-Phrase, let me find you back here on the roster. 2:14.2. Feeling pretty happy with that time out here at Sebring?
Yeah, I ran a 2:13.9 in my practice run, so 2:14.2 is fine, and I'm not going to catch those guys in front of me, so whatever. If I can hold off Foon and finish top 10, I'm fine with that.
What do you make of this car track combination? Yes, we've got the rear-wheel drive Cosworths as opposed to their younger siblings that sport the all-wheel drive configuration. But what do you think of this car in particular here at the flat and level Sebring full track?
Well, I am a huge fan of the car as well as a huge fan of the track. I'm not a front-wheel drive guy, which is why I was not there last season. The track selections we have for this year, our season, is very kind of hard to pick a favorite because I picked Sebring short, Fear picked Sebring full, and then somebody else picked Homestead, I believe. Or no, Indianapolis. So we've got 3 of my favorites. The only one we're missing is like Watkins Glen. So other than that, those 3 I'm a big fan of.
Talking with T-Phrase here in the driver's spotlight before we let you go and bring in Mr. Fear the Fun. You done us proud here with this livery on the RS 500. You got the Oral-B on there. You want to give everybody kind of bring them up to speed on why the Oral-B livery here?
Well, so I was driving this car in practice, and I didn't have a thing, and I said, this feels like a faster Fiat, or what? Not Fiat, but Alfa Romeo. And I said, it slides the same way, it kind of kicks out the same way. So I said, let's just put the old livery back on it, and we can put the Big Time Tooth Guy right up front. And it's kind of my return to FM4, so I figured, hey, why not give Shadow a shout out here, and Virtual Autosports a shout out, and we'll go from there.
That's cool. I love it. Hey, T-Phrase, good job on the qualifying session. I know you sound like you're a little indifferent about what your capabilities are going to be moving up the field, but best of luck to you here in the race. We wish you the best.
Thank you. The change is going to be the start. That's going to be different. So it's we'll see what happens.
You betcha. You betcha. And we'll talk about that start here in just a second. Let's go ahead and bring in the Croatian, not the Scandinavian flick, the Croatian flick, Fear the Fun. And Fear the Fun, I've already jumped off the qualifying time results, but are you satisfied with your time? And radio silence. Fear the Fun, can you hear me? All right, we've lost the Croatian flick. We'll go ahead and throw him back in the driver's spotlight and allow all of our drivers to ready up here. Perhaps we'll get him after the race. Maybe his qualifying time wasn't as good as he had hoped, but maybe the finish will be better. Fear the Fun actually did a fantastic job coming out of Season 30. We'll go ahead and take a look at these standings once again, although you're going to find him down there in 7th position. I thought at the time, heading into the finale, that he'd be able to move up to 5th, 6th, perhaps even 5th. But you see there, Slipstream and Audrex were able to edge him out by 10, 17 points, respectively. And so Fear the Fun finishing 7th there overall, but a damn good finish, I'll say. So what will Fear the Fun be able to do here in these RS 500s as we look to the field? All the drivers have gotten ready, and we've got now 19 out on the grid as opposed to the 7, I believe, who qualified. Big J Bishop there in the chat asking, can you not hear me? I couldn't hear you, man. We got done with chatting with T-Phrase, so I could hear him. He could hear me, but I could not hear you. That's okay. We'll progress. We'll make the most of it. 14 laps around the track. Yes, we do have a little bit of a different approach here. Starting with this first race of season number 31, is that the drivers will get out on the track. The countdown will commence as it normally does in a multiplayer lobby. But what is different here is all the drivers will stay on the grid, and then they are the pole driver, the car on the pole dictates within a 10-second window of the countdown finalizing, within 10 seconds of the countdown being final in the lobby, the pole car can choose to start when he or she dictates. So everybody else must take their cue from the pole driver. We're going to see how this works out. A couple of advantages here. It allows us as the spectators, as the broadcast team here, is to be able to see the race from the start as opposed to jumping in and the cars are already rolling, as annoyingly we see here on Virtual Autosports and, of course, even in the FRC. But then also, it prevents any of those black screen issues. For those of you who race multiplayer in Forza, you may have encountered this before, where the counter counts all the way down, you have a black screen, everybody else goes, and you're still sitting there until you finally get the screen, and then you take off. So trying to alleviate that issue and then give us full view of what's happening out there on the track from the get-go. And that driver, I believe being Huracan, will make the decision when everybody leaves. And they'll communicate this. They'll communicate this over their comms, over on Discord, to make sure that it is a clean and as fair a start as possible. And for those of you who are thinking about joining the FM4, the Forza Spec Racing Series crew, watch and learn, because if you'd like to race with them starting in week number 2, which again, if you join in week 2, you're still eligible for the championship because they have that drop week rule in effect. They'll be doing the same thing in week 2, week 3, 4, and 5. So pay attention. We don't want any false starts here. And we'll see how well it works out. It could go wonderfully. It could not work out at all. Who knows? But hey, that's okay. It's up for the drivers to decide. I'm just going to sit here behind the microphone, and we'll all watch it together. So there we go. We got actually Craytrim there on pole position. Opposite of him is Huracan. And wouldn't you know it, we've got AMS Storm, who is blowing the start, and that is probably going to have everybody jumping back out. So, as I mentioned, maybe it won't work. Maybe it will. Shame on AMS Storm. Slow motion fire. And AMS Storm saying grid order was messed up. So we'll hang tight, and we'll allow the organizers to go ahead and get everything sorted out, and they will. We'll get back to racing soon enough. And actually, Let me go ahead and just throw it back on over to the settings while we wait for everybody to return to the lobby. There is your standings from Season 30, the final standings from Season 30. And now we've got the lobby returning. Go ahead and jump back on over to that. Flying Evo saying, oof, oof. It happens. I mean, you change things up within a league, and even if people consciously are like sitting there on the line and going, okay, I'm going to stay, and then like the counter goes down and just instinctively your finger like pins the trigger, and before you know it, you're taking off. Storm says, don't worry, I know the rules. I meant to be the pole sitter. I figured as much. I knew it was somebody from AMS who was supposed to be out there. I thought it was Huracan, but it looks like Storm will get up there. The organizers, not only they'll reaffirm the start and how all the drivers should approach that, but then also get the grid ordering all sorted out. Snore Dizzle for Shizzle. Thank you for that follow-izzle, I guess. I don't know. Thank you very much for that. Great having you here on a Tuesday evening. I hope you all are having a fantastic start to December as we wind down 2019, rolling into the next decade. Oh my gosh. Can you believe it? So much happened here in the 2010s for me. I can only imagine what's going to happen in the 2020s. Snore Dizzle saying, "Fo shizzle." Good to see you. Anybody else, if you're watching, you're spectating here on this opening week of Season 31, please say hello there in the chat. Would love to be able to engage with you. Give me your thoughts on the race as it transpires here before you on Virtual Autosports. But let's keep it family friendly. That's the only thing I ask. We want to make this broadcasting accommodating and welcoming to all ages, backgrounds, genders, everything, so that everybody has just a good old time here on a Tuesday. Yes, Mondays for me are okay. I can get through a Monday because that just reaffirms, okay, one day is down, got the rest of the week to go. But a Tuesday can be a bit rough. Wednesday's great, hump day. Thursday, cool. Tomorrow's Friday, and then it's Friday, and then it's the weekend. Tuesdays, I got to get away to get over that and into the hump day. FM4, the Forza Spec Racing Series, that's that thing for me. So I get really revved up. I look forward to it when I get home. I get home from work. I'm driving home as fast but at the speed limit as possible, as much as possible, and get ready for the racing here. It's always a blast. Snore Dizzle saying, new to Forza, bought Forza 6 a week ago, loved it so much, bought the deluxe version of Forza 7. Well, there you go. And you got the Bob, big fan of Bob Ross. The Bob Ross, nice story emote. Skylord Awesome, what's up? Skylord Awesome earlier saying, good luck to everybody racing. We're trying to get things underway, and there's the final countdown once again. We'll go with attempt number 2 here at 3.7 mile Sebring full circuit, and we've got our camera there on Cratrium. It'll be Huracan there opposite of him. Fear the Fun, Lucas, Chaos Fox. AMS Storm is back there in 10th position from what we can tell. So take 2, says Storm. Flying Evo, wee woo, let's go, woo hype. Indeed. And they've backed out again, so stand by. Stand by to stand by. At some point, the race will get underway. Something went wrong, says Flying Evo. It appears so. I don't have direct communication right now with the race organizers because then otherwise you would all hear it. So I'm waiting patiently just as you all are. And looks like they're having to do a change-up in the lobby altogether. So while we wait for that to happen, let's go ahead and, again, let's talk about that car real quick. The 87 Ford Sierra Cosworth, the RS 500. 700 is the performance index. That's A-class in Forza Motorsport 7. 363 horsepower, 299 foot-pounds of torque, 2,367 pounds of curb weight. Rear-wheel drive configuration. It's got a turbo, the Sport Turbo it's been upgraded to, with that YBD motor underneath the hood. 51% of the vehicle weight distribution is toward the front. You got the other 49 at the back, so pretty evenly distributed car there in terms of the weight. Race intake, race exhaust, race camshaft, streets, pistons and compression, sport turbo, race brakes, race springs and dampers, race front and rear sway bars, the race chassis reinforcement and roll cage, race weight reduction, race clutch, differential, tire compounds are all of the race variety with BBS E55 16-inch rims wrapped around wrapped inside of a 245/35 diameter tire. So there you go. AMS Storm saying issues with Forza race regulations changing the grid order. So they're getting the order sorted out here. Unfortunately, because the qualifying times when you come out of the qualifying session, they don't get organized in the order in which everybody is supposed to be in. So when we see it, we have to sort out who is where on the grid. That makes it a little tricky for the organizers to also get things set up. Even more so tricky for the system because things like FRR throw that for a loop, making it quite a bear here in Forza Motorsport 7 to organize some of these league races. And my sincere and absolute gratitude for all the organizers throughout the Forza community who put races on, because it's things like this that make it a little bit tricky and a little bit cumbersome sometimes, but everybody pushes through, the organizers, the drivers, and before you know it, we've got a great racing product to watch. And we had no shortage of racing action there in Season 30. Mesosphere did fantastic. Crimson and Cratrim were on his heels for the larger part of the season, although I believe it was Cratrim who unfortunately had a few disconnects, if I remember correctly, which put him out of the running. No, actually, that was Crimson. Put him out of the running pretty quickly. So we're hoping, fingers crossed for everybody, that their connections are able to hold up, to include my own connection, so that we don't have those hiccups during the broadcast, and that everybody's able to have a clean shot at the championship. You want to participate here in FM4, it's very, very easy. Just go over to reddit.com/r/FM4. Nightbot, my good old pal, my buddy Nightbot, has dropped there in the chat the link to that Reddit page. Go on over there, get registered, get your car ready. There are very specific upgrade requirements for the vehicle so that everybody has the same vehicle configuration. It's the tune that you can personalize for each and every one of these races. Sebring here tonight, 14 laps. Suzuka, another 14-lapper. Coming up next, then December 10th, we'll be out at Homestead, the road circuit alternate track with a little bit of weather. 21 laps in that one. Bernese Alps, 22 laps. Then December 17th, 2 weeks from tonight, Road Atlanta full circuit, 21 laps. Indy Brickyard Speedway, that's the oval. I almost said the circle. That's the oval track for 32 laps. January 7th out there at Maple Valley, then Sebring Short at night in the dark, and then January 14th is our finale out at Silverstone National for 76 laps. Here we go. We're trying to get racing out at Sebring. Again, 3.7 the full circuit, 3.7 miles, and there you go. You've got Storm on pole with his buddy, his teammate, Huracan, outside of him. The motors are revved up. When will Storm signal the go? We'll see. A little jump there by Cratrim. Kick the tires and light the fires. AMS Storm and AMS Huracan off the line here at Sebring for 14 laps. The start of season number 31, the Forza Spec Racing Series. Down the stretch they come. Crimson is sandwiched between Barf Monkey and Mesosphere as they come through turn number 1, up to turn 2, and then 3, the left-hander, up to 4, 5, then Big Bend. A whole slew of cars as they come roaring through. It's Storm, Huracan, Mesosphere, Crimson, Barf Monkey, T-Phrase, Misfit, Foontang, Blister Gypsy, Chaos Fox for LSEM back there in 10th position. Underneath the Chevrolet Bridge, coming up to the, well, this is Big Bend up here, and then it's the hairpin, turn number 7, before you got the chicane. There they go. And it's Fangio. Turn 8 and 9. Up to turn 10, and look at that competitive nature here. Teammate on teammate violence, AMS, the Alien Motorsport crew, 1 and 2 currently. As we'll hold it tight here for right now. Crimson, they're in 4th position with Mesosphere. They're still in 3rd. There comes Mesosphere trying to make a move on Crimson. Let's go back there. And Mesosphere, at least for now, has it as they go through turn 11. Collier into 12. Then it's 13 with Tower toward Bishop at 14. Mesosphere drops back to 4th once again, if only tentatively. Futang in 5th. Joe Beardy in 6th. Celtic Warriors 7th. T-Phrase up to 8th. Soul Motion Fire in 9th. Fear the Fun has unfortunately dropped back to 10th position. Chaos Fox now finding himself in 11th. Barf Monkey in 12th. Blister in 13th. Craytream in 14th. Lucas in 15th. Misfit, Bond, Ronin, Skier Kid make up 16th through 19th. And unfortunately, no, actually that's correct. 19 drivers of the 20 who were in the lobby. I'm number 20 with the camera. Down into turn number 17. That's Sunset Bend here on the asphalt. There goes Storm, followed by Huracan. Underneath the bridge and back toward the start-finish line. Season number 31. It's Storm who's going to take the first lap here of 14. Coming out of turn 1, once again, Mesosphere still back there in 4th position behind Crimson. You have to look all the way back to 14th to find Craytrim, not having a great start thus far. We'll see if he'll be able to make it up here. A lot of track, 3.7 miles with 13 laps to go. Back underneath that Chevrolet bridge, once again up here to Big Bend. And no, there are no team points here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. However, the AMS guys of Storm and Huracan representing nicely the Alien Motorsport team. You may be familiar with them. They raced in the Forza Spec Racing Series here in 2019. Or excuse me, the Forza Racing Championship here in 2019, and possibly returning for 2020 in the spring. Let's go back a little bit further here as these two probably going to hold on to position for now. Let's go to Mesosphere, who's there in 3rd position, and let's hop on board with Mesosphere onto the front hood. He's got Crimson out in front of him. Back behind him, it is Futang in 5th. Flying Evo joining me there in the chat by saying, kick the tires, light the fires. A great start out here at Sebring. No chance of rain in this race. Yes, you can have some weather out here at Sebring in Forza Motorsport 7, although the organizers have opted to not make that happen. We won't see any weather until race number 3 out there at Homestead a week from tonight. Back down the long straightaway, up to Sunset Bend they go. Mesosphere now getting quite the separation between he and Futang. Let's go back to 7th with Celtic Warrior, who's back behind T-Phrase, big-time tooth guy, there in 6th. Barf Monkey in 8th. 9th is Joe Beardy, Fear the Fun in 10th. There they go. You see all those bumps, and that's going to push Celtic Warrior a little bit wide. T-Phrase able to hug a little bit closer to the apex underneath the Michelin Bridge and across the line for the start of lap number 3. Into turn 1, and you can kind of see the heat effect, and there goes Barf Monkey to the inside of turn number 1, and a little bit of the switch back there as Celtic Warrior reclaims 7th position. Celtic in 7th, Barf Monkey, who's trying to make moves there in 8th position. Fear the Fun now moves up to 9th. Blister Gypsy in 10th. Joe Beardy falls back a couple of positions, now to 11th. Let's return to the front of the pack with Mesosphere, who's trying to make a run now on the AMS boys. And as a matter of fact, Mesosphere now on the back of Crimson, meaning, and Crimson is in 2nd, meaning Huracan has dropped back to 5th. So now in the top 3, it's Storm, Crimson, and Mesosphere. Little jockeying for position early on in this race. Don't want to lose sight of Storm. Storm, however, very quick, it's going to be difficult to keep pace with him. But if anybody's going to be able to do it, it's going to be Crimson and Meza here. Meza opting for the flat black paint job and some Monster Energy-esque green on the rims and on the hood. And you see there on the back of Meza's car, he's got the Lazarus team name. Meza, a painter for Team Lazarus, also a competitor there in the Forza Racing Championship. Finishing third overall. AMS Storm reporting 4% damage already, perhaps revving up on the clutch a little bit too much, or maybe he found himself into the wall a little bit, although here in Forza Motorsport 7, usually contact with an object that gives you damage usually jumps straight up to 100 or somewhere in between at about 50% mark. You don't usually see aero damage at 4%, so that's likely to be there on the clutch. All right, let's run through the pack here. AMS Storm in first, Crimson in second, Meza, they're in third position. Back behind him, it's Futang and Huracan, who dropped back from second now to fifth. T-Phrase still riding cool there in sixth position with Barf Monkey now. They're in seventh. Fear the Fun in eighth. Blister Gypsy in ninth. Chaos Fox in 10th. 11th, the Celtic Warrior. He's fallen back quite a bit. Craytrim in 12th. Only jumping up a couple of positions at this point. Slow Motion Fire in 13th. Joe Beardy in 14th. Iceman Misfit in 15th. 16th is Lucas. Ronan in 17th. Skier Kid in 18th. And it looks like Autobahn perhaps going into pit lane. They're in 19th position. What a big bundle of cars that we have here. I don't even want to call it mid-pack. It's just basically everybody from 6th on back. They're in the hairpin section of Sebring Full, turn number 7. As we continue to hang out here with Meza to see if he's going to close in on Crimson. And these two seem to be reeling in. AMS Storm up ahead. AMS Storm again joining in on Season 30's finale. And was able to steal the win from Mesosphere, who was looking to sweep the season. And to date, through 30 seasons, nobody has been able to sweep all 5 weeks. Here they go through Lamar, turn 16 out here at Sebring. Let's go up to Crimson, who's in second, and let's go ahead and hop on board. We'll let the broadcast-esque cameras take a break here, as they don't necessarily provide us the best view. So we'll hop on the car out of turn 17. Again, you see all those squares there with the asphalt. That's what drives a lot of the bumpiness there through turn 17. And now under the bridge of the Chevrolet Bridge into turn number 1. AMS Storm still out there, but Crimson is closing in lap by lap. What do you guys think of the race? Who's going to come away with the win here? I know it's early. Only about approaching a third of the way through this race. Again, 14 laps versus the 15 that you see there in the upper left-hand corner. There goes Storm up onto the curbing. And the rear-wheel drive 87 Ford Sierra slides a little bit to the left-hand side, but AMS Storm able to recover. Not before allowing Crimson to close in a little bit. Now here they go through the chicanes. The S is here on the backside of the track. Through Fangio. Up to turn 10. Which is this right-hander up ahead. Back behind, it's still Mesosphere. And let's go to Mesosphere's car once again with Crimson and AMS Storm almost bumper to bumper at this point. Looking back a little bit further, 4th and 5th, that's going to be Huracan and Futang battling it out between those two. Barf Monkey, Blister Gypsy, and Fear the Fun have gained some separation there on LSM Chaos Fox in 9th. Craytrim in 10th. Celtic Warrior there in 11th. Slow Motion Fire's moved up now to 12th. T-Phrase in 13th. Misfit in 14th. Joe Beardy in 15th. Lucas in 16th. Ronan in 17th. Skier Kid and Autobahn are 18 and 19. And there they go through Lamar. As you see, Crimson looking very, very strong. Down the long straightaway here at Sebring. Past all the RVs off to the right-hand side and even over there to the left. As our virtual spectators watch on. There goes Crimson to the inside. Going to make that move on AMS Storm. It looks like AMS Storm might have the momentum down the straightaway. They're going to go side by side across the line. It's going to be Crimson first, Storm in second. And there you go, a pass for the lead position. For now, there goes Storm now to the inside through turn number 1. Crimson's just going to have to go ahead and concede position for now. And we'll jump up there to second with Crimson. Underneath the bridge, Big Bend. That wouldn't be the right footage. That's not what we're looking for. We'll try to get the replay system back to where it needs to be. But for right now, it's Storm, Crimson, Mesa, Huracan. Oh, and we've got a car off the track there at Big Bend. That's going to be Joe Beardy, who's going to drop back now to 16th position. Joe Beardy, who I was telling you need to be looking out for. Looks like maybe he spun around back there or perhaps even made contact. There's a tire wall there on turn 6 at Big Bend. Let's go to Joe's car real quick and see if the damage is indeed the case. And the reason why he is slow on the pace. Actually, that's Barf Monkey. I take that back. The timing wasn't showing things correctly. That's Barf Monkey, who appears to have some pretty severe damage to that car. And we'll only confirm that here with the UI. Sure enough, look at that. 100% all the way around. Hopefully Barf Monkey will be able to hobble that car back toward pit lane, get it patched up, and post some quick times, maybe even make up a spot or two out there on the track. Let's return to Mesosphere there in third with Crimson and Storm in second and first, respectively, as they head back toward the start-finish line for the beginning of lap number 7. Storm sliding it out of 17. We've seen a little bit lack of grip there on Storm's car. And yes, all the drivers, all the cars have the same configuration, but the tuning can mean all the difference out here on the track. And, of course, how the drivers, how much they push the car and what their approach is. And there goes Mesosphere now off into the grass. Crimson locking up the brakes slightly. Coming up through 4 and 5. AMS Storm saying the engine damage is killing him. So Storm, with a little bit of damage, he's typing in the chat while racing at a exceedingly high level and reporting that he does have a little bit of engine damage to that car, which would be most certain a result of bouncing the rev limiter. Now here they come out of 10, or excuse me, out of 9, up to 10. Whew, so far so good. I'm Dustin Moore. Thank you very much for tuning in to Virtual Autosports here live on Twitch TV for the opening week number 1 of 5 in the Forza Spec Racing Series, season number 31. We will be split up by the holidays here with things picking back up on January 7th and January 14th, but that's not before we get three weeks worth of racing here in the remainder of 2019. We'll have week number 2 a week from tonight. Same time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Same can be said there for December 17th, which is 2 weeks from tonight. Then we'll have that 2 or 3 week break before rolling into 2020, the new year. And the Mesosphere going around Barf Monkey there, who, again, is trying to find his way, hobble his way back to pit lane, doing the smart thing, grabbing the off the track limit area onto the inside here of the long straightaway, allowing the lead lap cars to pass by safely. It's where Barf Monkey comes into turn 17, which could be interesting, although looking at the dots there on the track, it appears that Barf Monkey can get through, navigate turn 17 without any of the lead lap cars on his heels. We're staying here with our top 3. Mesa there in second, in third. Let's go to Crimson in second. What an exciting way to start things off. We've got a couple of new faces, not new by any stretch of the imagination in the Forza community, but showing up here in FM4 in December. Staying at the top of their Forza racing game with the guys and gals of the Forza Spec Racing Series. And Storm, who is reporting a little bit of engine damage, having to hold off, fend off Crimson. But the more he does that, the more blocking he does with Crimson, the more that allows Mesosphere there in third position to close on in. And before you know it, they'll be bumper to bumper to bumper, if not already. And there you see Crimson sporting the Pro number board, the green board, as a return racer here in FM4. It's AMS Storm who's making an appearance in FM4 for the first time in his illustrious Forza career. Look at that, Mesosphere peeking out, sliding through. Coming out of turn 14 of Bishop, now to 15 and 16, Lamar, and back out on the long straightaway. And they've got more traffic up ahead of them, hopefully not going to be an issue. And as we watch the top three, back behind him, Huracan is closing back in, looking to reclaim second, which he gave up there on lap 2 or 3. They'll have 6 more laps to try to make it happen. Autobahn is going to run wide here. That's going to put the lead lap cars a little bit on an awkward entry here into turn number 1. Usually they're up onto that barrier, the separator between the racetrack and pit lane, but the pros that they are able to navigate around lap traffic without any issue, no problem whatsoever. As they get through 4 and 5 now, Crimson looking every which way to try to find a pass here on Storm. Crimson's probably thinking, I got to get around Storm, get some separation so that I don't have Meza clawing at my back, because we all know Meza is wanting that top spot, especially after what Storm did to him there in the finale of season 30. And there goes Storm off into the dirt a little bit, coming through the S's. Maybe losing a little bit of traction. Keeping the car on the driving line, which is not giving any favors there to Crimson. And there's one blocking maneuver, and that, of course, within the limitations, the expectations of racing. And there goes Crimson now onto the back right rear quarter panel of AMS Storm, letting him know that he's still there, although Storm needs no reminder. Probably a heavy presence in the rearview mirror has Crimson. And now out of tower, turn 13 up to 14 of Bishop. Underneath the power lines, you see the helicopter doing circles overhead, watching the action as it unfolds here on the track. Crimson just not finding any way around, and looks like AMS Storm getting the car a little bit uneasy, perhaps a bit of a sim twitch there before recovering it. And now here they go through the mall once again. Crimson, you see those sparks shooting back, and oh, there goes Crimson around AMS Storm, who slides off into the inside. It looks like Storm was maybe up on the curbing, which lost some traction for him. And as the damage really started, no, he's only got 4%, although that 4% is monumental when you're going up against these other drivers. And now it's going to be Crimson, Mesosphere, and Huracan. 1, 2, and 3. And across the line they go, and there goes Mesosphere to the outside of Crimson, coming up to turn number 1. Crimson's going to have the inside line here. Actually, he's going to run Mesosphere a little bit wide as he takes the middle line. Plenty of room, though, for Meza to work with as he grabs 2 wheels out onto the grass. Crimson now to the inside here at turn 3. And back behind him, there goes Huracan. Poking his nose into the business here. And Mesosphere, Crimson, they're going to go side by side here into what is hairpin. And there goes Mesosphere now dropping back as Huracan tries to make a run on him. And side by side, it's Lazarus versus AMS. Oh, it doesn't get any better than this, folks. This is pro-level driving here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. Mesosphere now to the outside here through turn number 10 up to Collier. Huracan's going to try to close the door. He does. And so Mesosphere will fall back to where he was in third position. Huracan in second. Crimson in first. Mateo Max joining us here in the pit lane, or the Twitch chat as it's otherwise known in the Twitch world. Good to see you, Mateo Max. What a run. And I would give you coverage of the rest of the action out here on the track, but it's just been way too exciting. 1, 2, and 3 as we hop on over to that instant replay, Virtual Autosports instant replay. Anybody want to sponsor the instant replays? Just give me a shout out. What's up there, Dino Dad Shadow? Oh, there you go. Mateo Max joins in on the conversation, and everybody starts showing up. Good to see you all. Thanks for tuning in. Virtual Autosports here live on Twitch TV, and if you're not already following Dino Dad Shadow, give him a follow. Plenty of racing on that channel. And now Mesosphere dropping back slightly with Huracan on the back heels of Crimson. And pardon me as the cameras switch up a little bit. And there goes AMS Huracan trying to reclaim P1, which was held by his teammate AMS Storm for so long. And now it's Huracan who's saying, I'll go ahead and take this top spot for our AMS team. And he does so with Mesosphere now getting around Crimson for second. Into hairpin. For the 11th time on this 14-lap race, that 15 lap there in the upper left-hand corner, that'll be a cool-down lap. We are most certainly racing to just 14. Huracan now with a 2-car gap between he and Mesosphere. Make no mistake with the liveries. That's AMS there in first with Huracan. And Lazarus represented there by Mesosphere in second. Crimson in third. As we look a little bit further back, AMS Storm, who ran wide there through Le Mans on the last lap, still in fourth. Back behind him, it's Futang in fifth. Craytrim has moved up to sixth position. So Hard Charger, I think, is going to Craytrim so far. Blister Gypsy in seventh. Fear the Fun in eighth. T-Phrase in ninth. Misfit in 11th, or excuse me, in 10th. LSEM Chaos Fox in 11th position. Celtic Warrior, Soul Motion Fire, Joe Beardy, Lucas, Ronan, Skier Kid, Barf Monkey, and Autobahn are 12th through 19th. And oh, how unfortunate it is to see Barf Monkey so far back. He was having a good run early on in this race, contesting as far back up in the grid as 7th before seemingly going into pit lane. And here comes Huracan, Mesa, and Crimson approaching more lap traffic. That's going to be our probably our 19th place, excuse me, 17th place of Skier Kid up ahead. So we'll have to navigate around Skier Kid here, who's going through, or coming up to 4 and 5 out of 3. And don't think that Mesosphere is gonna fall back here and not give a run for first, because he is right there, but then Crimson is as well. Of course, the more that Meza and Crimson continue to battle each other, the better that's going to fare for Huracan as they go up to the hairpin again. And there goes Mesosphere, who pushes wide through the hairpin, turn 7, and he'll have to regroup himself. Is Storm going to be able to get around him? Let's go back there to Storm as he gets through turn 8 and 9. And now it's going to be Storm there on the heels of Mesa, trying to grab himself a podium position after making a mistake there on Le Mans. Although Storm telling us there in the pit lane that perhaps he was pushed, nudged a little bit onto the curbing there of 16. I would say nothing malicious, at least from what we could tell. But here he is, scrappy as could be, climbing back up through the field. Well, of course, he didn't have to climb much. He was back there in fourth and now contesting for third. currently occupied by Meza as they go through Bishop. Let's return to Crimson. And Crimson having to push around Skier Kid. And by push, I mean metaphorically or figuratively speaking. He wasn't physically pushing the car, and there goes Crimson there in that Ford Performance vehicle. Out past Skier Kid and out into turn 17. The final right-hander, Sunset Bend. The all too tricky portion of the course. Back up toward the start-finish line for the beginning of lap number 13. A-Cats P. Thank you for the follow. Greatly appreciated. Into turn 1 they go. All right, so to recap, it's Huracan out there in front of Crimson, 1 and 2. Mesosphere in 3rd, Storm in 4th, Funtang in 5th, all on his lonesome. Even Cratrim now starting to establish a racing island of his own. Blister Gypsy in 7th, Fear the Fun in 8th, T-Phrase in 9th, Misfit in 10th, Chaos Fox in 11th, Celtic Warrior in 12th. 19 drivers started the race, all 19 still out there on the track for 14 laps around the 3.7-mile Sebring circuit. It's been all partly cloudy skies, no rain for the drivers out here today. They won't see any precipitation until race number 3, and then we'll have some darkness out there at, it's going to be Sebring, the short circuit. We'll be back out here to Sebring on January 7th in the dark. And here comes Crimson now on the heels of Huracan as they head into turn 10, and it's back up to Collier once again here on lap 13. Exciting race. Dino Dad Shadow rooting on Funtang for top 5. Funtang qualified quite nicely, and he's having one heck of a run. If he can catch up with Storm and, well, Mesosphere is a little bit out of reach as Storm has dropped back a bit again. But if Foon can catch up with Storm, that would be one hell of a drive. And here they go, Huracan and Crimson out of Le Mans once again. Back down the long straightaway. You see Mesosphere back there in the background. And they've got the white flag flying next time by the flag stand. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the white flag flies. 1 lap to go here in week number 1, race number 1 of season 31. The Forza Spec Racing Series. It's Huracan representing Team Alien Motorsport. Crimson there in 2nd. Back there in 3rd, it's Mesosphere for Team Lazarus. AMS Storm in 4th. Funtang in 5th. That's your top 5. Of course, we'll take a look at the final standings as they come around for the cooldown lap on lap 15. But oh my gosh, what a lot of great racing we have left to go here on this 3.7-mile final lap. Crimson trying to find a way around as Huracan grabs first position back there on lap 10 or 11, I think it was. After Storm, who was reigning supreme for so long, he incurred some engine damage. Crimson closed in on him. And perhaps after a little contact between 15 and 16, 16 being Le Mans, AMS Storm ran out onto the curbing, allowing Crimson to get by, and Meza, and Huracan. So we'll see how this one finishes out as they come out of Tower for the final time. Actually, check that. That's going to be turn 10, then 11, 12, and 13 of Tower. This right-hander. Throw on the brakes a little bit. You got to be careful. Don't want to run wide off into the dirt / grass. And they keep it nice and tidy there. Perhaps Crimson going to line this one up for turn 17. That's going to be his best chance here in the remaining corners. Closing the gap, exceeding track limits ever so slightly. But I think acceptable. And there's Mesosphere, who, yeah, you see the mirage effect, but that's no mirage. Mesosphere is indeed back there. Just a little bit of just a ways. However, not going to be able to make a run for second or first, and that's going to be how it finishes here. Huracan in first, Crimson in second, Mesa in third, AMS Storm for right now in fourth, Foontang in fifth, Kratrium in sixth, Blister Gypsy in seventh, Fear the Fun is in eighth, T-Phrase in ninth, Misfit in 10th. Oh, it's back there, and actually, let's go ahead and go to T-Phrase in ninth right now. And we'll ask our drivers to go ahead and join us in the driver's spotlight following this race here before they get ready for qualifying out at Suzuka. Man, what a great way to start season number 31. You think the action was good here. Wait till we get a little bit of undulation in the track, and Suzuka will provide plenty of that. And pardon me as I go ahead and write down the finishing standings here, as the cooldown lap may mix things up here. Kratrium in 6th, Blister in 7th, Fear the Fun, T-Phrase. And behind him, it's going to be Misfit and Chaos. Whew. Celtic. Slow Motion Fire, Joe Beardy. Lucas. Ronan, Skier Kid. And Barf Monkey and Autobahn. All right, folks. Well, there you go. There's the cooldown lap, as that's going to happen here with our winner, Huracan. Going to go ahead and take the victory lap around Sebring. And as I look over to the driver interview section, nobody is in there quite yet, but we'll hang tight. Somebody's bound to join us and let us know what they thought of things. Flying Evo, not the season start I expected, but Sebring's not my jam. Flying Evo, remind me what your gamer tag is, too, so that way I can make the connection. 22% engine damage there by Flying Evo. Flying Evo 6. X Lucas, okay, got it. And Dino Dad Shadow, yeah, unfortunate there for Flying Evo. And again, drivers, if you'd like to have a word with us as we hit intermission here, hop on into that join for interview section. In the meantime, I implore you to hear me out that we're going to run some ads. It's going to be 3 minutes worth of ads. The benefit that we have in doing this is it'll prevent any pre-roll ads for anybody who joins us midway through the race, and also should prevent any other ads that pop up during the actual racing action itself. So bear with the 3-minute ads. For those of you who are not getting any ads, hang tight. We'll get the drivers out of the driver's spotlight and chat with them a little bit after the race here at Sebring, and then we'll prepare for things out there at Suzuka. For those of you not getting any ads at this point, we sit here and watch AMS Storm, or excuse me, Huracan, as he gets around the track. Drivers, if you're listening and you don't yet have any ads or you don't have any ads at all, hop into that queue for interview section. We'd love to chat with you and get your thoughts on how things went out here at Sebring. It's Huracan who takes the win, followed by Crimson in second. Mesosphere up there to third position with Storm back behind him in fourth. Funtang in fifth. Cratrium, Blister, Fear, T-Phrase, Misfit, Chaos are your top 12. Dino Dad Shadow saying, at least it's not like in real life race broadcast, 10 minutes of racing action for every 30 minutes of ads. Yeah, we try to keep the ad break limited to just the in between the races here. And again, that'll allow those folks who join us during the broadcast a little bit later on to avoid seeing any ads, prevents that pre-roll so they can get right into the racing action, and should also help alleviate any other ads that Twitch may try to push during the racing action itself. So it's all to give everybody a better race experience. Good battling in the middle of the pack there, says Slow Motion Fire. Most certainly was. A lot of great racing. We would have loved to have given more camera time for those who were in mid-pack. However, the racing was just way too good up there in front. Welcome back, folks, as race number 1 of Season 31 comes to an end out here at Sebring. We've got Mesosphere now here in the driver's spotlight. Mesosphere, you told us before the race there in the Twitch chat that not to expect much from you, as you were feeling maybe a little bit under the weather, or maybe some of the meds were having an impact on you. But there you go. You got a third-place finish, and you were contesting for first, but Huracan and Crimson just too much to handle here in race 1.
Yeah, I'm having the current meds I'm having issues with focus and concentration. So the error was, my mind just literally wandered off. Nothing I could do about it. I'm just glad I didn't wreck anybody else's race. So the speed's there. I just wish I could concentrate and at some point stop moving. That'd be nice as well.
Talking with Mesosphere here, and yeah, the incident you were referring to there at Hairpin, turn 7 here at Sebring, pushed in a little bit too hard, ran off onto the runoff area, and had to come back onto the track. Still able to hold off Storm, who showed up nicely there early on in the race, but seemed to have had a few issues later on.
Yeah, it looks like he had engine damage, because every time he got on a straight, when he was close behind me, I would pull away again. So it's like I felt fairly confident that as long as I didn't make another mistake, I would stay in front, because overtaking was going to prove really hard for him to do. But overall it was a cracking race. To be honest, I was just happy to be within the same postcode as the AMS guys. It kind of helps legitimize, I suppose, last season's racing, because that was equally as tight as this week.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, tell me what kind of dynamic does that introduce to the races? I mean, obviously here, everybody's just gunning to perform at their individual best. You know, they're not necessarily here for teams and all that, but what kind of dynamic does that bring when you've got folks out here who clearly have a very strong case for why they're a professional level driver, to include yourself there with Team Lazarus, but how does that shake things up maybe on the grid a bit, if at all?
In this league, it doesn't do. If anything, it just adds extra banter. Behind the scenes or what have you, there's lots of, kind of bantering and joking or what have you. I don't think the AMS guys are treating this too seriously. They're coming in here with, well, I suppose next to no practice, just like everybody else. So it's a bit of fun. Everyone's taking it in the same spirit of this is. It's not quite casual, semi-casual, we'll say. It's competitive racing, but it's lighthearted. Everyone's fun.
And
that includes them.
You're saying they're not taking it too seriously, but man, as I watch on, I'm like, man, these guys are pedal to the metal. They're giving it their all. Talking with Mesosphere here in the driver's spotlight as we get ready to head out to Suzuka. A lot of twisty bits here. What's it going to take for you to maintain your composure and your concentration here?
An act of God. Yeah, pretty much. Basically, unfortunately, the medication, it doesn't ease off. Yeah. So if I get lucky and I manage to, kind of not make any dire errors, then I'm hoping top 5 again. Normal racing for me is against Crimson and CT.
Yeah.
I was surprised that CT had such issues in qualifying, so he wasn't there this race. So I was thinking top 4. That's what I wanted out of race 1. I got on the podium. I'm happy. This race, I'm expecting CT to be back up front, and so somewhere in the top 5, mixing it, having a good.
Yeah, we were a little bit surprised with Cratrium CT as well, being so far in the back. But Mesosphere, best of luck to you in honing your concentration here for one last race tonight out at Suzuka. And we'll see how you do in qualifying and then out there for the 14-lapper.
All right. See you again in a bit.
All right, and let's go ahead and see if we can mic check 1 2.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you. We couldn't get Fear in here during the pre-race segment, but now we've got you here in between Sebring and Suzuka. You, as I take a look at my notes, it looks like you finished back there in what, maybe 7th or am I reading this wrong? Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8th position there at Sebring.
Yes, sir.
And as far as the car, I know you were pretty excited about the car that you had last season, if I remember correctly. But now, what are you thinking here of the RS500?
I can't get the power down in this thing, man. It's every time I hit the gas, it just spins the tires, and I can't keep it straight. Like, I've got to baby feather it all the way around the track, and I'm having trouble.
Anything in particular about Sebring that maybe now that we go out here to Suzuka, that'll work in your favor? Is it was it perhaps the bumpy sections of Sebring that were giving you fits, or was it just all around the course?
No, it was coming off, I guess, would be like the second, like, straight, the one that kind of curves left. Not the one that curves right. I don't even know what that straight is. It's going into, like, the back section of the track where there's, like, a kind of like a weird, like, left-hander that goes into the right-hander that goes into another right-hander. I don't know what it's called. I don't know what the turn numbers are. But you're supposed to be able to power through that the entire way, and I just couldn't get the power down to save my life.
Gotcha. We're talking with Fear the Fun here in the driver's spotlight. I know all the drivers are readied up, so Fear, I'll let you get back to the lobby for qualifying out here at Sebring, and we'll see if you can get yourself another top 10 here in race number 2.
I'm going to try.
All right, so there we go. We chatted with Mesosphere, Fear the Fun, and now we get ready for 14 laps. Well, before that, we've got the 3-lap qualifier out here at Suzuka. And so stand by for that. And 3 laps, yes, that means a standing start, as always, before they get the 2 flying laps. And the quickest times will put you further up in the grid, with the quickest dirty laps still being slower than the slowest clean laps. That means you want to post a quick, clean time to give yourself the best position out there on the track as possible. And as we saw there in that first race, the new launch sequence throwing a wrench into the plans for some of the drivers. You got to account for that, because the pole sitter dictates when everybody launches. So a whole new, even though it's not vastly different from what we've seen in FM4 in the past, it does take a little bit more concentration, focus, and understanding that, hey, this isn't what I'm accustomed to with just mashing the accelerator at the start. Got to give myself a little bit of time, breathe, and as soon as I see that pole sitter go, I go. And then it's all hopefully uphill from there, or downhill, if we're saying that the downhill is the easy way of going, as opposed to downhill of things going rough, into turn number 1, carrying a lot of speed through that section before you go through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 the S-curves here out at Suzuka. It's partly cloudy skies out here as well, much like out at Sebring. No chance of rain here at Suzuka, so that is probably keeping the drivers nice and happy. This the asphalt surface here at Suzuka tends to give you a bit more grip, so we should see some pretty clean and quick driving out here. Not to mention that you've got the downhill slopes like we see here. T-phrase going through turn 8, that's Degner curve, then turn 9 up underneath the bridge of this figure 8 course. Granted, you don't cross paths here on the track, as you got the over and the under there with the bridge. And now up here to the hairpin, that's turn 11 at Suzuka, and then it's 12 up to Spoon Curve, which makes up 13 and 14. Flying Evo who is Lucas out on the track, saying, ooh, I'm scared. Maybe he's not a fan here of Suzuka. As we continue to see T-Phrase go around, we'll hang out with Mr. Big Time Tooth Guy in that Oral-B RS 500. And for those of you who may be joining us late, it's an A700 class here in Forza Motorsport 7. All the cars are upgraded the exact same, to basically put out 363 horsepower, 299 foot-pounds of torque to the rear tires, 2,367 pounds of curb weight. It's in the tuning where the drivers can make the difference, and of course in their own natural racing ability. That's why it's a spec season. The cars are the same, the driver and the tunes can vary. But FM4 is definitely accommodating for drivers of all skill levels. If you want a chance at the FM4 Season 31 Championship, join us next week. Same time on Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern for week number 2. And again, heading out to Homestead, the Road Car Alternate Circuit, and then the Bernese Alps for 2 races there. And if you race in those, yes, you could be in contention for the championship, as T-Phrase gives us a little bit of a show there coming through the S-corners. Let's go up to our current quickest time. It's going to be AMS Storm, who has a 2:15. Actually, Crimson now jumps up to the top spot with a 2:15.9, or excuse me, 2:15.5. But yeah, join in week number 2 and you can be in the running. Just that easy. And regardless of your skill level, even if you know that you're not going to be in the running for the championship, come out here and have a good time. 20 drivers in this second race. So we've added another one. I think that's Born as Ghost, who has hopped onto the grid. And so we have a damn near full grid at this point. 21 drivers of the 20 drivers of the 23 spots that are available. That means you could join in on week number 2, fill this grid up, and it's all the more exciting for our viewers here on Virtual Autosports Live on Twitch TV, and of course for everybody out on the track, because the more drivers that you have out there, the more chances and opportunities you have to find somebody who is like-minded or similarly skilled and battle it out with them. Even if you know you're not going to be up there in the top 3, top 5, maybe even the top 10, find somebody out there that you match up well against and make it your effort, your mission, to try to best them from race to race. And before you know it, you'll find your skill improving over time, moving yourself further and further up the grid. AMS Huracan now with a 2:14.9, so able to fall underneath that 2:15 mark. It looks like Crimson maybe still there in second, with AMS Storm third quickest time, Mesa in fourth, Fear the Fawn in fifth. Again, we're going to have to take that with a grain of salt, because perhaps what the stats are showing me are the total times or best times in terms of on the track, cumulative of all the laps versus individual laps. So we'll see how things look at the post-race results, and maybe we'll grab another driver or two from the and bring them into the driver's spotlight and have a word with them before the race. We most certainly will talk to some of the drivers after the race. For somebody who said they could not get their concentration down, he finished third out at Sebring and now finds himself with a 2:12.7. Yes, a 2:12 on the second lap. Now on the third flying lap is Mesosphere, or the third lap, the second flying lap here in qualifying. Mateo Max, find somebody who battles you the way Ryan Reynolds battles his friends. Exactly. We should all aspire to do the things that Ryan Reynolds does, right? No, we probably shouldn't. And Mateo Max, I don't know if you were here when I said it last time, but thank you so much for your subscription to the channel. Yes, for those of you that are watching, I only broadcast once a week these days, as opposed to the 3 times a week that we were doing at the earlier half of the year. All of that for personal reasons, but I'm very humbled and fortunate that Slow Motion Fire said, yeah, we'd love you to do the Forza Spec Racing Series. And I said, well, heck, if there's one thing that I'm going to broadcast, it's got to be this. And it has not disappointed. Last season for season 30, and now here in season 31 as we watch Mesosphere ride up past the white line there. So that's going to give him a nullified lap. Not that he needs another clean lap, because with a 2:12, he looks to be our pole sitter here at Suzuka, and he's even going to slow it down there, coming through turn 18, back toward the start-finish line. Born as Ghost. He's going to come roaring up. There goes Chaos Fox with love and a little needling. Again, for everybody who celebrates the Thanksgiving holiday, I hope you had a fantastic one. Maybe Black Friday and Cyber Monday are more your deal, more so than the holidays. So maybe you found yourself some great deals. And to that, I say congratulations. But thank you very much for joining us here on a Tuesday evening, or perhaps it's a early Wednesday morning for you. Virtual Auto Sports live on Twitch TV with the first week of Season 31 in the Forza Spec Racing Series. It was AMS Huracan who came away with the win in race number 1 out there at Sebring, followed by Crimson, Meza, Storm, Funtang. We'll see how things go here in race number 2. Crimson saying he's hyped. Crimson with a 2:12.7. Well done, sir. Well done. Flying Evo telling us that his were dirtied laps. And again, the fastest dirty lap is always going to be slower than the slowest clean lap. All right, we'll take a look at these final times here. Born as Ghost with a 2:19.3. There's T-Phrase. Mr. Big Time Tooth Guy, he's going to have to work himself up through the grid with a 2:19.3 dirty. Chaos Fox with a 2:16.0. Meza 2:12.7.9.4. That's going to fall just short of Crimson at a 2:12.7.2.6. Ronan with a 2:19.6. AMS Storm with a 2:12.7. Iceman with a 2:15.6. Cratrium also with a 2:12.8. So that's going to put him back there on row 2 or 3. Joe Beardy with a 2:17.0. Barf Monkey. That name gets me every time. 2:14.3. Lucas, or Flying Evo as we know him here in the Twitch chat, 2:15.4. Blister Gypsy, the 2:15.4 clean compared to Lucas's 2:15.4 dirty. Futang, unfortunately, with no clean laps. He's got a 2:14.4. Huracan at a 2:14.9. Autobahn also dirtied with a 2:21.2. Slow Motion Fire at a 2:16. Celtic and Fear the Fun with a couple of 2:17s. And Celtic, who's going to edge him out with a 2/10ths of a second versus Fear the Fun's 7/10ths. Skier Kid with a 2:19. So that's 20 drivers of the 23 spots available. As I take a look at the driver spotlight, we've got Crimson in there. Let's go check out Crimson and talk with Crimson. Let me go ahead and turn the audio off so we can all hear him. Crimson, you were telling us there in the Twitch chat that you are hyped. You're feeling pretty good about this qualifying session here at Suzuka, I feel.
Absolutely. Get to control that start. Out-qualified the FRC guys we have here this season. It's a great feeling. It definitely feeds my ego. It doesn't matter that they dirtied faster laps at the end there.
Yeah. Hey, Crimson, just so maybe our viewers at home can hear you a little bit, I don't know if you're able to boost your audio just slightly. I've got you.
Is this better?
There you go. I've got you maxed out on my end, but that's much better. What is it about Suzuka that had you posting such a quick time out here? Was this a track that you were looking forward to more than Sebring, or is it just happenstance?
My last event outside of the Spec Racing Series was a 12-hour event in a 700 horsepower TVR around here. So,
quite familiar with the circuit then.
Yeah, you could say that. In cars with very high levels of oversteer.
All right, so then the question is, you're excited because of your qualifying time, but what's it going to take here to hold off Mesa, Storm, Cratrium, a whole slew of folks? I mean, you're going to have everybody just gunning for you here for 14 laps.
there's an entire pantheon of gods I have to pray for this to work. I don't know where to begin. It definitely helps that I'll be controlling the start, but it's going to be a tough ask.
And for anybody who may have watched us broadcast the Forza Spec Racing Series in the past and say, well, what is Crimson talking about here with the start? We saw it there in race number 1. The pole sitter dictates when the race begins. What dynamic, what does that introduce here to the series, or what does that introduce just to this race that maybe throws people off a little bit?
Well, it's new, so not everyone's going to be used to it. We did some practice races, and it tended to clean things up for the first turn, and eventually led to some battles forming that you wouldn't necessarily expect in the normal starting format. It also helps the leader have a bit more. It helps have more of an incentive in qualifying to try to get the car.
Yeah, a little bit of an incentive, and of course keeps everybody on their toes as far as when is that pole sitter going to start the race. Talking with Crimson here in the driver's spotlight before we get ready for race number 2 tonight out at Suzuka. One part on this track that you would think is the most difficult. I know you said that you spent a number of hours out here on a previous race, but what part of the track is going to prove most difficult for you, especially with everybody breathing down your neck?
You're asking me to expose my secrets, but I am absolute garbage at Snake, the S's.
Yeah.
So I've always struggled with it. I struggled with it in the 12 hours through Tora. I'm probably going to struggle with it here. So
a little bit less horsepower, though, with the RS50 versus the TVR 363. Does that help you keep control, though, through the S's?
These don't have aero. The TVR did.
That can mean all the difference there. Crimson, as always, great chatting with you. Best of luck out here on the track with starting race number 2.
Thank you.
All right, so yeah, there you go. Crimson giving us all the details on what the new starting format means here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, waiting for Lucas, Blister, and Skier Kid to get readied up. 20 drivers on the grid of 23 spots that are available. I see this network issue, low bandwidth notification at the top. However, I think everything is okay. I think that's just kind of a lingering notification that hasn't removed itself. We should be good. 14 laps out here at Suzuka. That's going to be a 3.61 mile, the full circuit, not the short circuit. We're going the full enchilada. And there's the countdown. Looks like we're going to be ready to go. As Soul Motion Fire tells us there on the pit lane, the Twitch chat. This will be one steep climb for me, says Flying Evo. Keep your focus, man, and do your best. Just like driver Dino Dad Shadow, or actually Mateo Max said earlier, find somebody who battles you. And I know he was going off on a Ryan Reynolds mention there, but very true in that. Find somebody that you pair up best with and see how you perform against them in this race. And if that means that you come in 15th versus 16th, or 7th instead of 8th, I would call that a victory. And then over time, improve those skills. Before you know it, you'll be a racing legend here in Forza Motorsport. No, it takes a lot. I mean, a lot of this is not. Oh, and there we've got one driver already scooting around on the grid. It takes a lot more. Oh, and maybe we're going to bounce out here. Maybe not. I hear the rev of the YBD engine, and there they go. Kick the tires and light the fires. Our pole sitter Crimson gets things started off as he rolls into turn number 1 here for race number 2, season 31 in the RS 500 Forza Spec Racing Series. Into that first and second quarter they go. AMS Storm there in second, Mesosphere in third, Huracan in fourth, Cratream in fifth, Barf Monkey, Blister Gypsy, Fear the Fun, Chaos Fox, and So Motion Fire are 6th through 10th. Here comes Crimson now as he enters the S's, the snake as he called it, here at Suzuka, the part that he says he's not necessarily the best at, but he looks to keep it all nice and tidy here. But yeah, he's got a lot of black and green, and that would be black and green of both AMS and the Lazarus team. Mesosphere outside of the color, the brand colors there of Lazarus, although he's got it plastered there on the back bumper, letting everybody know who he represents. But it's AMS of Storm and Huracan that are there in second and fourth. as they go underneath the Bridgestone Tire Bridge up to turn 11. That's the hairpin here at Suzuka. And there goes Storm to the outside of Crimson already. Gonna challenge Crimson for the lead as they come up to turn 12. Avoiding the little jut out there, the alternate version of this track, and Storm hops out in front. Crimson gonna ride the outside coming up to Spoon. And Storm's gonna go ahead and hug the apex. A little switcheroo action. Nope, not gonna be able to make it happen. Crimson now drops back to second. Mesa there in third. Huracan in fourth. Cratrim in fifth. Barf Monkey in sixth. Barf Monkey trying to make things happen here a little bit better in race number 2 than things turned out in race 1 after being as far up as seventh and then falling back as far, or all the way back to, gosh, I think 18th, according to my notes there in race number 1. And here they come through Casio, turn 17, and then 18 onto the straightaway back toward the start-finish line as we go back to the Virtual Autosports Rewind, and we watch AMS make that move on Crimson. Let's go back to 5th with Cratrium. Back through 1 and 2. Helicopter overhead, catching the action. Mesa now falling back to 4th with Huracan moving up to 3rd. Let's go to Barf Monkey. Just because I like saying the name. Here in 6th. He's got Cratrim out in front of him. Swordfish Motorsport. Behind Barf is Blister Gypsy. 2 things you don't want racing here in 6th and 7th. Barf and Blisters. Into turn 9 out of Degner quarter of 8. And there goes Barf off into the dirt a little bit. And again, another error, a mental mistake is going to allow Blister Gypsy to get on by. And now into the hairpin. Barf onto the back rear left quarter panel. Actually, more so on the tail lamp there of Blister Gypsy. And so now he falls back to 7th. Let's return to the front of the pack here with Mesosphere in 4th. See how things look there for him, from his bumper as they go into turn 13 of Spoon. And then the exit of Spoon at 14. Whole train of cars on lap number 2. 14 laps around the 3.61 mile full circuit of Suzuka. It won't be until next week that we shorten things up a little bit with a Homestead Road Circuit and the Bernese Alps Club track. A couple of 3-mile tracks here in week number 1 with Sebring and Suzuka. Here they come once again through Casio, and then 18 back up to the start-finish line for the beginning of lap number 3. Running through the grid, it's AMS Storm out there in 1st, Crimson in 2nd, Huracan in 3rd, Mesa in 4th, Cratrim in 5th, Blister in 6th, Barf Monkey in 7th, Fear the Fun in 8th, Soul Motion Flyer is 9th, Chaos Fox in 10th, Foontang unfortunately back there in 11th position, Celtic Warrior in 12th, and actually Foontang I believe had a dirty lap, so able to make his way up to 11th, so a good run by him so far. Lucas in 13th, Joe Beardy in 14th, Born as Ghost in 15th, T-Phrase, Ronan, Skier Kid, Audubon. And unfortunately, that means we lost somebody. It's going to be Iceman Misfit, who's going to pick up a DNF. That'll be 3 points to his name. And maybe this will be a drop week for him. Let's go back up to the front with AMS Storm. Give him a little bit of camera time here as he holds off Crimson for now, going into that downhill section of Degner. Past the NGK boards. They're off to the left and up a slight hill. A little bit of a grade into the hairpin where you climb even a little bit more as you get ready to go to the higher part of the track, because there will be that bridge going up over the circuit to make the figure 8. And let's go back to Mesa in 4th. Pedantic Squirrel, what's going on? Good to see you. Long time no see. That was a smooth operation of the yeah. I win one at least a broadcast. I get one decent replay, and then somehow the other one gets botched. I know. For whatever reason, it was referencing an old video from season 30, but I think the replay is all good now. I can be a smooth operator. Squirrel joining us here in the Twitch chat. And for those of you who are watching here, Virtual Auto Sports live on Twitch TV, drop a hello there in the pit lane. We'd love to engage with you. Give me your thoughts on who's going to win this race. Again, we had several ships in position for P1 there in race number 1. It was Huracan who came away with the win. He's currently in third out here on the track of Suzuka. Then it was Crimson and Meza who were second and third in that first race, and that's exactly, well, actually, check that. Crimson in second, Meza in fourth right now behind AMS Huracan. EWM Prague with the hello. Good to see you. Gray Trim in fifth, Blister in sixth, Barth Monkey in seventh. Those two, after their exchange or change in position, holding on to their spot here on lap number 4. And as they get through the S's now, let's go ahead and drop a little bit further back while we can. Let's go to Slow Motion Fire, the league organizer here in 9th position. And behind him, he's got Futang, who's up from 11th now to 10th. And going to try to make a move on Slow Motion Fire's Chia Pet car. Oh, you got to love it. Chia. No water, no precipitation out here for Slow Motion Fire to grow position. He's going to have to make it happen organically with his skill. And, oh, look at that. Slow Motion Fire going to be able to take the outside line, keeping Futang back behind him. And you see up ahead there in 8th position, Fear the Fawn. Nostalgia intensifies. Yeah, every once in a while we get a livery on these cars that harken back to a milder time in the world, you know? No internet yet. There's Texaco, Celtic Warrior. I think at the time to buy a Chia Pet, you had to call the 1-800 number. There was no, hey, let me just go to chiapet.com and buy one. Granted, there probably is now these days, but you're like, man, I really want those Chia Pets. Let me call the 800 number. On an age, and now here they come up to Casio out of, oh gosh, I lost my track map. Out of 16 into 17, then 18. It's going to be AMS Storm, and now Huracan moves up to second, getting around Crimson, and they're going side by side now into the S's, and now Crimson's going to be able to reclaim it. He said that the S section, or the snake as he called it, was not his best part, but there he goes, making a move. Getting his second position back, at least for now. Chia Pet was in Kmart, and we've seen Kmart liveries here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. You don't find a lot of Kmarts in existence today. And there goes AMS Huracan. Heavy onto the brakes into Degner curve of 8. We'll save it and run up the back bumper of Crimson. Now they come up to the hairpin. As we go back to that that run there by Crimson and Huracan through 1 and 2, up to 3 and 4 of the snake. What is snake in Japanese? Not that I'm going to be able to pronounce it, but here they come up the spoon, because it looks kind of like a spoon. If it was a spoon where you did one of those magic tricks where you kind of rubbed your fingers together and the spoon just kind of droops, that's like the Suzuka version of the spoon. Pedantic saying, I'm waiting for the clapper livery. Yeah, clap on, clap off. Here they come up through the kink here. That's 15. Then you really throw on the brakes here. Side by side, Crimson to Huracan. Huracan's going to take the outside. He'll have the inside coming up to Casio. Is he going to be able to make a run here on Crimson? No can do, says Crimson. He'll hold on to second, at least for now. And he's going to put that block on the one maneuver. Run up to the outside. Huracan will go ahead and concede for now. Let's see what happens coming up to 1 and 2. As Storm now starting to establish what could be an insurmountable lead if he continues this pace. Crimson telling us before the race in the driver's spotlight it was going to be very hard to do. And that is the case, although only having dropped back one position thus far, I would still say that this is a pretty successful run. Mesosphere telling us, also in the driver's spotlight, in between race 1 and 2, that he didn't think the AMS guys were taking it too seriously. I beg to differ. I think these guys are out here to continue to establish their namesake in the Forza community. Alien Motorsport team, although needing no validation here that they're a pro-level team. We saw that there in FRC. They did a masterful job at competing there. We'll see if they're coming back for the spring 2020 season. We're still awaiting more details of the 2020 season. I'm at the edge of my seat. The new team format, although I was a little skeptical going in, I am a firm believer that that's the direction that FRC needed to go, at least in the previous season, and now heading into the next season. You start building up a relationship with those pro teams. You start getting sponsors seeing what level of competition that you're establishing in the FRC, and before you know it, you've got yourself a much more reputable and I would say even more exciting competition. And so we'll see how that evolves moving forward. And there goes Huracan now making the move on the outside of Crimson through 16. We'll go ahead and clip that one. Mesosphere there behind them in fourth. He's going to try to reclaim a position or two. Oh, and Mesosphere telling us there in the pit lane. How these guys type in the race, I have no clue. But Mez is saying that he was killed by the curb bug, which usually means like the game thinks that you bottomed out on a curve and sends your car into a chaotic fit. Mez able to recover it, though, seemingly so, pretty well. Take a look at that instant replay. Pedantic, he can tell us how well this one runs out. With Crimson there making that move. Well, actually, no, Crimson falling back to Huracan as they come up to 16 here. Running through the field, it's AMS Storm out in front. Huracan in second. That means the AMS boys running 1 and 2, at least for now. Crimson in third, Cratron in fourth, Barf Monkey in fifth, Blister Gypsy in sixth. And actually, I was saying that Mesosphere recovered it. I gotta correct myself. Fear the Fun is in seventh, Foontang is in eighth, Slow Motion Fire in ninth, Chaos Fox in 10th, Celtic Warrior in 11th. Then it's in 12th that Mesosphere has fallen back to. Born as Ghost in 13th, Joe Beardy in 14th, Lucas in 15th, T-Phrase in 16th, Ronan, Skier Kid, Autobahn are 17th through 19th, but unfortunately Iceman Misfit with the DNF early on in this one. Once again, I'm Dustin Moore, broadcasting here on a Tuesday evening with the opening week of Season 31 in the Forza Spec Racing Series, and what a week it has been. If the rest of the season looks anything like this, we're in for a real treat, so make sure you catch us the next 2 Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then we'll be picking things back up in 2020 with week number 4 on January 7th, the finale, week number 5, on January 14th. Now it looks like Storm really starting to pour it on. He's got a good 3 to 4 second lead, it appears, on Huracan and Crimson in second and third. Kratom in fourth. Barf Monkey is up to fifth. Barf Monkey really making a recovery after a sickening run out there at Sebring. Obviously, had something go wrong out there at Sebring, but made a full recovery, at least thus far, halfway through race number 2. Let's go back here to Slow Motion Fire and Blister Gypsy, who are having one heck of a battle. It was Blister Gypsy and Barf Monkey who were competing against each other a little bit earlier on, but now Slow Motion Fire has caught the tail end of Blister's car. Back behind him in 8th position, it's going to be Futang, who is also making his way up through the field. Fear the Fun at 9th, and there goes Blister off the track. Blister off the track through 7 of Dunlop, and now Slow Motion Fire moves up the spot. So one heck of a run here by our race organizer. Back behind Futang is Chaos Fox in 9th, Fear the Fun in 10th. I may have inadvertently said somebody was in 9th, but in reality it's Chaos Fox. And so he'll try to close in on Futang, who is trying to close in on Blister. Drop back a little bit further. It's going to be Fear the Fun in 11th. Let's go to Celtic Warrior. They're in 12th position as they enter turn 13 of Spoon, and they'll come right back out of it toward the back straightaway here at Suzuka's 3.61 mile full circuit course. Underneath the now kind of overcast skies here. No rain. No rain in this race. Over the curving there through the King, Celtic Warrior, and Fear the Fun are going to run well wide. That's going to allow Born as Ghost, who's joining us here for race number 2, unable to hop in on race number 1. And there goes Celtic Warrior well into the inside, but that's going to allow Born as Ghost to make that move up to 12th. Celtic in the Texaco car dropping back to 13th. T-Phrase in 14th, Joe Beardy in 15th. Let's go to Joe, who in that mobile livery car is not having quite the debut that I expected coming out of season 30. And maybe if this is Joe Beardy's drop week, perhaps he can really turn it up beginning in week number 2. And week number 2, that, again, a little bit of a preview. Homestead Road Circuit, the alternate version with a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of moderate rain, and then fog for 21 laps. And the Bernese Alps Club Circuit for 22. Let's go back up to third place with Krebsen, who's trying to find his way around Huracan, although Huracan looks to have established a good, I don't know, what is that, a 10-car lead separation on Krebsen as they go through Spoon. It's going to be the 2 AMS guys, Storm, then Huracan. Huracan took the first race after Storm led about half of it there at Sebring. Kraytrim in fourth, Barf Monkey now on a racing island. Same can be said for Kraytrim. Those two by themselves there on the back straightaway. Slow Motion Fire in 6th, Futang in 7th. Let's go to Blister Gypsy, who's trying to grab back a couple of positions after running wide through Dunlop about a lap ago. And there goes Chaos Fox trying to make a move on Mesosphere, who's now up to 9th from 12th after having his own issue with some of the curbings. Bit of a glitch here in Forza Motorsport. Meza going to try to make the most of it. Even if this is Meza's drop week, he wants to get as many points as possible so that if he does have any sort of disconnect or an issue where he can't race in the upcoming weeks, gotta get as many points as possible here in week number 1. You don't want to take for granted that something may keep you from performing at your peak a little bit later on in the season. So even if you have a problem like Meza had here in race number 2, charge up through the field, see how good you can do. Maybe he can grab himself a top 5 with 6 laps, or actually 5 laps remaining here on this 14-lap race. There's Krebsen. You see the gap widening between he and Huracan. And Krebsen maybe being a little bit too sneaky there with the grass on the inside of Degner, and now Huracan runs wide out of turn 9. That's going to allow actually Crimson to take second position, at least for now. Huracan making things interesting. They'll go side by side. Back up through 12. And now up to Spoon. Pedantic Squirrel saying the lobby is so stacked. It is. This is a fantastic assortment of talent that Slow Motion Fire has been able to bring into season number 31. But again, regardless of your skill level, if you want to get in on the fun, join these guys here in week number 2, and gals, and be in contention for the championship. But even if you're not going to be in the running for the championship, because you know your skill level, you know your abilities, still come out here and race and have a good time. And there goes Crimson now to the outside. This is where Huracan made a pass earlier on. Neck and neck, side by side, tire to tire, and now it's going to be Huracan who jumps ahead there of Crimson. Flashback to the action there in our virtual Autosport instant replay. Cratrim in 4th, Barth Monkey in 5th. Let's go back to Blister Gypsy, who's now running in 9th position. Look at this trail of cars. From 8th of LSEM Chaos Fox to 9th with Blister Gypsy, Fear the Fun, Slow Motion Fire, Born as Ghost, and Celtic Warrior. As they enter turn number 1 for the 11th time of 14. Through the S's. And we are a little bit late here this evening for those of you that are familiar with the Forza Spec Racing Series. We had a few starting issues on race number 1. Let's slow this down a little bit with the new race start setup, which gives the pole sitter the position to start the race on their mark. But nonetheless, we're having a fantastic Tuesday here. I hope you all are having, again, a great start to December as we are in the thick of holiday season here. Oh, and there goes Slow Motion Fire, who's now going to run a little bit wide. That's going to allow Born as Ghost and Celtic Warrior to have a go at him, although it looks like Slow Motion Fire is going to be able to hold those two off. Let's go back to Crimson in 3rd. Crimson has his say. He'll keep the AMS guys of Storm and Huracan from going 1 and 2. It's going to take a lot, though. They're on lap number 12 of 14 into 1, carrying so much speed, just enough camber on the corner there to help keep the car hugged onto the inside. Carry a little bit too much speed, though, and you'll go flying off into that well-asphalted runoff area. There's plenty of asphalt to work with there, but you'll be well off the pace by the time you recover. The only issue that Crimson's really had, though, is through the S's for the most part. Everything else is looking really, really clean for him. As they come up to turn 8, Degner. Then 9. Fourth is still Cratrim, who's all on his lonesome. Barf Monkey in 5th. Food Tang is 6th. He's got Mesosphere now behind him in 7th. Let's go to Meso. Mesa fell all the way back to 12th after an incident with one of the curbs. Now up to 7th. Looking to take 6th. Right there on the back bumper of Food Tank through the hairpin. Up the hill they'll climb. A little bit of tire smoke and kicks the back end out is Mesosphere. That's got to be intimidating there for Food Tank, who is quite the driver himself. But to have Meza creeping up on you so quickly like he is, you got to ask yourself, how long can you hold on to it? And so that's the challenge that Food Tank is facing at this moment. Back behind Meza is Chaos Fox in 8th, representing the LSEM, the Light Speed Endurance Motorsport team. 9th is Blister Gypsy, Born as Ghost, they're in 10th. Celtic Warrior in 11th, Slow Motion Fire is 12th. Lucas in 13th, Teeth Phrase 14th, Fear the Fun in 15th, Joe Beardy in 16th, Skier Kid, Ronin, and Autobahn 17th through 19th. Again, Iceman Misfit getting the DNF early on in this race. And across the line they go for the beginning of lap number 13. It's Food Tank and Mesa. Take a look at the race stats there. Best lap belongs to Huracan at a 2:11.6. That beats everybody's pace during the qualifying session. So Huracan really putting down a good lap. Although he still has Crimson on his heels. Out of Dunlop. Turn 8, you hear the blow-off valve there of the turbo as they decelerate, entering the corner, and now back up to the hairpin. Here comes Mesa. He's going to look to the outside and then do a little switch back. Food Tank saying, not here, not now. As I monitor the dots on the screen there, Crimson falling off the pace of Huracan a little bit, giving Huracan a little bit of breathing room. There goes Meza to the inside of Spoon, and Meza now claiming 6th position and off into the dirt as he gets up onto the curbing, and he's able to recover it. Fortunately for Meza, Food Tank found himself off into the dirt as well. Maybe Food Tank having to hit the brakes to avoid slamming into the back of Mesosphere's car. And now up to 15, the Kink up over the hill. And look at that, LSEM Chaos not too far behind. Woo! And then you've got that 9 through 12 back there in the background. Quite a lot of great racing happening out here. Race number 2, week number 1. 9 races in total on the season. They'll take your worst week and they'll drop that. So your 4 best weeks worth of points. All the details over at reddit.com/r/FM4. The link being dropped into the chat there by Nightbot. After a long Tuesday, it's great to come into the stream just in time to see some racing, says Ghibli Jibs. We will run this back here after the broadcast. I'll go ahead and shorten up the intro, get right to the beginning of the broadcast, and that way, if you're joining us late, you can see the broadcast in its entirety. And of course, you can do it on our videos on demand as well. As the white flag, by the way, flew last time past the podium. So our lead driver of Storm, Huracan, and Crimson, the top 3, coming back toward the start-finish line for the end of this race. There's Food Tank in 7th. Let's go ahead and jump up to Storm real quick as he gets through Casio. And after having lost the first race, falling back to 4th position out there at Sebring. Storm is our winner here in race number 2. Back behind him, it's going to be Huracan, his AMS teammate. Crimson in 3rd. Cratrim in 4th. Barf Monkey in 5th. Let's go to 10th with Born as Ghost, who's trying to close in on Blister Gypsy here. And my apologies with the ongoing replay. And Born as Ghost with the switchback with Blister Gypsy running wide. Here they come, side by side. Oh, the tire smoke and the sparks. It looks like it's going to be Born as Ghost. Down the stretch they come. And Born as Ghost able to make the pass coming out of Casio and turn 18 for 9th position. Celtic Warrior in 10th. Blister in 11th. Slow Motion Fire in 12th. Let's go to T-Phrase there in 14th. Can he make a run? Not going to be able to do it. It's going to be Lucas in 13th, T-Phrase in 14th, Joe Beardy, Skier Kid, Fear the Fun, Ronan, and Autobahn. All the way through 19th position. And again, pardon me as I write down finishing positions of everybody, since our in-race results are not going to depict it. Wu-Tang in 7th, Chaos Fox. Much better run there by Chaos Fox. Or, I guess a similar finish there by Chaos Fox. Born as Ghosts. Blister. Celtic Slow. Lucas T-Phrase. Joe Skier. Fear the Fun, Ronan. And Autobahn with Misfit on the DNF. There you go, folks. So, Storm and Huracan splitting the first 2 races of season number 31. Again, Storm, who was leading for the larger part of race number 1 out at Sebring, fell back, finished 4th overall behind Mesosphere. He claims the win out here at Suzuka, and we'll turn to the driver's spotlight to speak with some of our drivers. Big J Bishop, Fear the Fun, saying, man, I do not like this thing. He does not like the RS500. AMS Storm saying, I knew I had the pace, just had to get past Crimson ASAP so I could gap, and that's exactly what Storm did. Meza saying, can't believe I touched the curb and blew up my front corner. So Meza, yeah, having issues there with the curbing. And as I look to the driver's spotlight, nobody in there yet. Drivers, hop on in if you'd like to have a word. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping things up here a little bit late this evening. Crimson with the winky face there in the pit lane saying, I let you by playing a strategy game. Yeah, that's how you write that one off there, Crimson. Indeed. AMS Storm, that's why your fastest dirty lap was 3:10. Oh, man. I love the banter. That's what you'll get here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, is a nice helping of banter between the drivers. It's all in good fun. It's all respectful. Whew. Maybe our drivers are going to be a little shy here after the Suzuka race. Let me go ahead and read that finishing order off again. That's AMS Storm with the win. Huracan in 2nd, Crimson in 3rd, Cratrim in 4th, Barf Monkey in 5th, Mesa in 6th, Fu-Tang in 6th, 7th is Fu-Tang, Chaos in 8th, Born as Ghost, Blister, Celtic, Slow Motion Fire, Lucas, T-Phrase, Joe Beardy, Skier Kid, Fear the Fun, Ronan, Autobahn, and Misfit are the 20 finishing positions in this one. Flying Evo says, I thought it was all over when my parents entered the room and momentarily lost pace seeing food fly by into the distance. But then there was T-Phrase, and we battled it out to the end. There you go. These were intense, says Crimson. They were. Certainly. All right, folks. He didn't necessarily like how things turned out here in race number 2, Fear the Fun, finishing, oh gosh, what is that, 17th position here at Suzuka. Where did it all go wrong for you?
Everywhere, absolutely everywhere. I ate it in every corner, everywhere. I don't know what's up with this thing. I can't get it to grip.
Can't get the RS 500, the all 363 horsepower, 299 foot-pounds of torque. Can't get them to stick to the road. So, what does a opening week like this mean for you? Does that mean you go out and do a little bit of testing, or really you're out here for the fun of it and you'll just kind of try to make the most of it in week number 2 there at Homestead and at Bernese Alps? What's the game plan?
I'm gonna try to tough it out, but honestly, like if I can't get it at least drivable to even like slow standards, I don't think I could stay in this car for a whole season. It's very, very tough to try to get that rear end to stick.
Well, we hate to hear that. We love it when the drivers stick all the way to the end. Obviously, you could have. We know your skill level. You could have finished a little bit higher up. We've got as we talked about during race 1 and 2, we've got a great assortment of drivers out there. Who would you like to be paired up with? Who would you like to be racing against if all things were going well for you in the RS 500?
Me, Foon, T-Phrase, Slow got faster over the time. All of them. I like being close with people, and they're some of the best racing we've had. I just can't get that rear end to hold.
Talking with Fear the Fun, a.k.a. the Croatian Flick, here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, telling us can't get the car, this RS500, rear-wheel drive RS500 to stick. So, yeah, we do change things up a little bit. The tracks get a little bit shorter, heading out to Homestead's road circuit, the alternate version. I hate to say this because of your initial impression of the RS500, but you're going to have a little bit of rain to contend with in that first race of week 2.
Yes, sir. I mean, it might also be because I have a hole in my hand from a duck incident I had yesterday.
A what incident?
A duck incident.
A duck.
An incident with a duck. A living, breathing duck that my sister had as a pet.
Okay, well, let's stop talking about Forza Spec and let's talk about the duck incident. We got to know this.
My sister's duck is kind of mean. And it's been kind of cold in Florida, and by kind of cold, it's been like 60 degrees around.
That's cold by Florida standards, yeah.
Yeah. And I went outside yesterday, and I saw my sister's duck standing at the front door, and obviously he wanted inside into his little cage. So I went and opened his cage. I walked back out, and I opened the door. And the duck automatically dislikes me. I don't know why. I've never done anything to it, but it hates me. So I open the door, and he takes 2 steps. He looks back at me, goes after my left leg, then comes back and goes after my right leg. So I grabbed him with my left hand, and I grabbed like the back of his neck and just lifted him up away from me and walked inside. And as I was going to put him in his cage, he caught me with one of his talons right in the palm of my hand, right underneath my thumb.
Wait a minute, a duck with talons?
It has claws, talons, whatever it is. It went into my hand.
I don't know what to say. I've never seen a duck with talons, but hey, what a crazy story. And so, in a family-friendly way, what do you have to say to the duck community for putting you in the predicament that you are now facing with a squirrely RS500 and an injured hand?
They might be looking at some being made dinner here soon.
Wow, yeah.
I know one is.
A duck dinner for Christmas. Yeah, it might be in order. Fear the Fun. Well, hopefully you'll recover there with the hand and also out there on the track as we head out into week number 2. Of course, we encourage all the drivers to stick it through to the end, and I have a feeling you will. But better luck to you next week, and of course, I suspect we'll talk to you then as well.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
You too. And let's go ahead and rope in. And actually, I jumped into the wrong lobby there. Let me grab Mesosphere, and we'll head on into the private lobby for our interview here. Mesosphere, you had an issue with the curbing. We didn't catch it on camera. Tell us a little bit more, please.
Yeah, came off of 130R. Pretty much same line as ever. It drifted slightly wide onto the curb on the outside, and as soon as I touched it, the entire front right just exploded. 100% damage on every component on the front right. I figured, as the pits is right there, and this is going to be tricky to drive on. No, just full stop because I had no front right brake. Yeah, just get into the pits. It's better to get a finish than be risk to others on the track.
Yeah, I mean, a finish indeed. You finished sixth after making that recovery from as far back as I think I saw you in 12th. How many more laps would you have needed to secure a top 5?
Probably quite a few. It took me a while to get past a few people, and fifth place was, according to the timing, about 14 seconds. Yeah, it wasn't going to happen. That pit stop really, it took me 30 seconds back. So yeah, it wasn't going to happen with the top 5. I'd have needed another race.
Okay, so this is the first time I'm seeing Barf Monkey out there on the track in the Forza Spec Racing Series. That doesn't mean he hasn't raced in the series before. What kind of intel, what can you give us to if you know anything about this Barf Monkey guy that we have to go off of to understand how he's showing so strong here in week number 1?
Well, I unfortunately haven't got to race side by side with him yet.
Yeah.
I can tell you his qualifying pace was within a couple of tenths of everyone else, like CT, etc. So his pace is very similar. How well he maintains that pace, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to actually race against him. The pace at the front was super, super hot compared to what qualifying pace was. We all qualified with like 12.7s and things like that at Suzuka. During the race, we were all down 12.1s, 12.2s, and I imagine the front guys were down into the 11s. I was really struggling to hold on. But yeah, so the pace at the front was hectic, frantic, one could say. And yeah, it's a hard pace to hold on to. I think he was probably going along this pace quite well. If it was a 14-second gap at the end, that means he was probably running close to qualifying, at the front, or rather his qualifying pace, if you see what I mean, all race long. So, but judging by the time gaps, he wasn't actually close to anyone. So for him, it may have been just a kind of a bit of a hot lapping session.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed he can find the extra couple of tenths needed to race CT, myself, Crimson for the rest of the season, because his pace seems to be around that level.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, there was a couple of names that we would have expected toward the front of the pack. That didn't transpire here in week number 1, but that doesn't mean we won't see it in week number 2 and onward. Of course, I'll have to draft up then my own scouting report of Barf Monkey, just one of the other many names here in the Forza Spec Racing Series that we'll have to look out for moving forward. Looking ahead here, Mesosphere, we've got him in the driver's spotlight. We've got Homestead, the road circuit in the rain. And then we've got Bernese Alps in week number 2. I got to ask, those two tracks and, of course, everything else that's on tap for the schedule, you see the AMS guys out here. Do you try to recruit any of your Lazarus brethren into the race at all?
I don't try to recruit them. If they want to come and race, I'm not going to put them off. But it's the kind of thing where if they want to race, great, come race. If they don't. I will be mentioning it, but I won't be trying to recruit them. Not honestly. They're busy.
Yeah.
I believe with LMES.
Yeah, Lamar Esports competition. Yep.
So unless they come into this just for a bit of downtime, then that's fair enough. The car is a bit tricky. Although having said that, thanks to Slap Surveiller, I got a pretty stable to me tune. I know others are struggling with it. But also an idea for a paint job, so hence the green Cthulhu monster. During the early banter when the car was announced, Slaps Vela, well, there was a fair amount of banter going on in the old Discord, in the FM4 Discord,
Nice.
and Slaps was there going, I'm loving the whole Mesosphere Destroyer of Worlds feel, so here's a tune. So anyway, he gave me the tune, and he's subsequently shared it with everyone on the Reddit. Very nice of him. But it gave me the idea of, look, let's have a Call of Cthulhu kind of style livery. It's still got the legitimate sponsors on there, but it's just something Kerry could play with. And so, she literally filled it with nearly 3,000 layers of tentacle monster. So,
very cool, very cool. And that's a name that we haven't heard here on the Virtual Autosports in quite some time. Slaps Vela providing the tune there for Mesosphere here in the RS500, the Forza Spec Racing Series. Mesa, tough luck on the curbing there, but we look forward to seeing it in week number 2. A week from today, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Looking forward.
Enjoy your time between now and then.
And you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. And so, folks, that's going to wrap things up as we got the snow falling here with the RS500 on the screen. Again, a reminder, it'll be Homestead Road Circuit alternate version with the drizzle, then some moderate rain, and then some fog, or at least a percentage chance of all those things. So we'll see if that actually happens, falls from the sky there, 21 laps around that track, and then out to the fictional Bernese Alps Club Circuit, 22 laps. I don't know that we've done a Bernese Alp race here on the Virtual Autosports broadcast, either for FM4 or for any of my races that I used to do. So that'll be a new track for some of those of you who are not necessarily familiar with the Forza Spec, or the Forza Motorsport title. Whether you've got it for the Xbox One or the PC, join these guys and gals out here on the track. Reddit.com/r/FM4 is all the details, all the information you need to know. You can get in on the action a week from tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, race in week number 2, and still be in the running for the championship. Even if you know your skill level doesn't put you in a position to be eligible for the championship, still come out here and have a good time with these guys and gals. Again, we had 20 drivers of the 23 grid spots available, meaning we were very, very close to a full grid order here tonight. Folks, that's going to do it for me, Dustin Moore, here on this week number 1. Looking forward to week number 2, then week number 3, and then we'll pick things up again in January 7th and the 14th for weeks 4 and 5. If you get any more Forza Racing action in the coming week, keep it fun, keep it safe, keep it clean. Have a great week.